The NBA trade deadline has come and gone, and the Raptors were predictably quiet, kind of what we expected. Hambone, let's start with you. First of all, sorry, this is Basketball Island. We are live. I am at Radio Row, as
Oh
you can
yeah.
see by the chaos behind me. The boys are back in Toronto. Hopefully, it's not too cold. But Raptors, quiet deadline. Made a move last night. Trace Jackson Davis, but quiet today. No Sabonis. I think we're all happy about that. Hambone, let's start with you. How are you feeling with the Raptors after the deadline?
I mean, I don't think we really expect something big to happen? Like, I'm very pleased with what happened. I'm not pleased with the product on the floor currently, but I do believe that this was what they were supposed to do. Duck under the tax, so make sure you're not getting into that repeater world, and add a depth big. Now, you can agree or disagree with Trey Jackson Davis as that big. I think he gives the Raptors a dynamic that they haven't really had. Someone who can catch a lob and give you 10, 15 minutes. Required, but I'm okay with what they did. I don't think they needed to mortgage their future unless it was for someone worth it. So I'm okay with it. I mean, I know people want shiny objects and they want the big splash, but I'm fairly content now. It's just about the product on the floor because they've lost some games in a fashion that I don't really appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, what I'd bring up, what were the expectations coming into this trade deadline? Everybody knew getting under the tax was probably the number one objective. So in terms of lining up with what the goals were, the Raptors achieved exactly what they're trying to do. What shocked me was just how, like, as we got weeks away, the Raptors name just kept getting popped up again and again and again. And I kept wondering, why are these names being associated with guys like Morant, like Sabonis? And to me, I think it's just good due diligence on Bobby Webster and the front office's part. They knocked on all the doors, picked up all the calls that they needed to make. But in the end, they stuck to what their ultimate goals were. And I think it was good on them to not really do anything brash when, sometimes, people feel inertia. You feel the need to do something. This wasn't the year to do that. And I think the Raptors had a plan, ultimately stuck to it, tried to get a little bit of value here and there. They couldn't get it done because of the contracts they had on hand. So this is what we're left with. And I go back to what we said on a few pods ago. What were the expectations for the Raptors coming into the year? To start the season, FanDuel didn't even have the Raptors as a team that was supposed to make the playoffs. Now they're sitting in a top 6 spot, fighting to stay out of the play-in tournament. It's a good year. So, see what you got. Hopefully have a postseason run. And then from there, you can make a better evaluation in the offseason.
Yeah, I don't think the immediate gratification of trading for a guy like Sabonis would outweigh what you would do to your future in terms of the assets you would have had to outlay to make that happen. I praise Bobby Webster for leaning on the side of caution, kind of rounding out the margins. You definitely needed a backup big. We'll see how Jackson Davis does. But ultimately, I just want to see how this group performs. First of all, you need to get into the playoffs because that's not a foregone conclusion right now. You're a few games up on the Magic, but other teams are kind of sliding past you a bit in the standings. So you have to hold on to that 6th spot. And then I want to see in the playoffs in the first round who in this group sinks and who swims. And I want to see what they're made of.
So let's just talk about Sabonis a little, because I think we were all sort of the general consensus. If you have to give up any type of significant future assets or first round picks, we were anti it. But the rumored trade a couple days ago and going into yesterday before it stalled was RJ, Agbaji, and the Raps wanted to give up seconds. The Kings wanted first. I think if it's RJ, Agbaji, and a couple seconds, would you guys have wanted to do that for Sabonis?
I'm anti Sabonis. You're already in kind of like a weird little salary situation with Barnes making the max, Brandon Ingram making 40 mil, quickly making 32.5.
But Barrett needing a payday as well, though, too, right?
Barrett due for an extension, and then you aggregate a couple salaries to get Sabonis. Sabonis is making what, 40 plus. So to me, it's just like you kind of find yourself in a situation where that's your team. Like, those are the guys you're going to ride and die with. Those are the guys you're going to contend with. I don't think they're good enough. I think the skill sets are a little bit redundant. I know everyone's close to 6'9", so I know that satisfies some people's.
We're back.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you still need diverse skill sets. I've been of the opinion that you need a stretch 5 for this team to kind of work, to blossom. I think you need some added perimeter defense to make it blossom even more. So the potential, the ceiling is just higher overall. I'm anti-Sabonis. I am very intrigued by what they end up doing in the offseason. RJ Barrett, how much money is he going to want? He's probably going to want 30 mil. Like, I'm assuming he wants the equivalent of Quickly's contract. You can make the argument he's played better than Quickly. So now you're going to kind of find yourself in a very tough spot. So I think they should prioritize defense, and I think them navigating the salary cap is very, very important down the stretch here. So no to Sabonis, not really what they need, in my opinion, but something's got to be done.
Yeah, I think the thing that jumps out to me, two things. Number one, timeline. Number two, fit. So, okay, going to fit first. Sabonis not a fit, but then a guy like Porzingis, he ended up getting shipped off. You know, I know he's got a lot of injury history, not good stuff, but that's the type of fit I think you'd want to put around the Raptors and take a swing at something like that. But for me, it goes back to the timing of this. Are the Raptors in win now mode right now? I think it's fair to say they're probably at least a year away. So I don't see what the rush is to put yourself back into the luxury tax when you have an opportunity that was like less than $1 million to skirt it, get reset, and then figure things out for the future. And then there's a good chance that some of the assets that become available based off of some of these moves that we've seen in the marketplace, there are going to be some reasonable assets that are going to be possibly pennies on the dollar, and then they can make an even more savvy purchase in the future. It just felt like if they were to do anything at this deadline, it felt very rushed, and it didn't really feel like it was baked into long-term planning. It felt very instant gratification. So I for one, again, I'm happy to see that the Raptors were able to just stand down, skirt the tax.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that they are in a tough spot with the contracts they have. The Jakob Poeltl extension is not looking great. The Emmanuel Quickly extension is not looking great. So they do have decisions they have to make, especially with RJ coming up with a year left. It seems like they're willing to move him for the right price, but they didn't find anything. But you know, they don't have any easy answers coming this offseason in terms of how to make the team better, in terms of like being able to move contracts that I don't know if they're desirable from other front offices. I mean, if other teams are asking for firsts or multiple firsts to take on those deals, that's not a great sign. So you have to hope that the growth can come internally. Jakob rehabs his value. Maybe IQ rehabs his value. Maybe in the offseason, someone says, we really like RJ Barrett. The Kings and Scott Perry reportedly did, just not enough to make the move now. So we'll see. But they do have, they are in a bit of a tough spot with some of the deals they have on their roster.
I think that's
what was a big tell to me?
Sorry, go ahead, Wes.
Yeah, big tell to me is like I don't think the Wiz really paid that much to get Anthony Davis. I would imagine the Raptors probably could have actually at least matched the draft capital going out the other way. What that tells you is the contracts are just unbearable from the Mavericks side. They just couldn't stomach any of that and weren't willing to probably even take more draft capital to support that. They just wanted a full clearing of the decks. So that trade to me is a great example of how handcuffed the Raptors are right now. They're stuck on these contracts that other teams just don't want to take on. And the reality is, unless the Raptors really put themselves in a pigeonhole, they can't get any reasonable assets back without basically selling the entire future in terms of draft assets.
And I think that's exactly what we learned from this deadline. And Josh had some good reporting on this, that those contracts, specifically Quickly and Yak, are looked at as toxic across the NBA. And but from our perspective, this team is still playing well enough that I don't think you need to attach first to try to get off of them. And that's why I like what sort of happened at this deadline. And we got the news just before we came on that maybe we might see Yak before the All-Star break. And if Yak can come back, get in that rotation, we might not even really need to see Jackson Davis, because if you have Yak and then CMB and then Mamu. So overall, I think we're in a good spot, but these guys now have the rest of the year, IQ and Yak, to show that they are not negative assets moving forward.
The elephant in the room is Jakob Poeltl's contract and his health. Like, that is the elephant in the room. The reason you're so desperate for a backup big is because Yak has been unavailable for most of the season. we're still, we're sitting here. Yak came off a career year. It's probably the reason why the Raptors gave him that extension. Should they have? I know it's something we've discussed ad nauseum in multiple past episodes. Probably not, but clearly they believe in him as a locker room guy, as a dude that fits their pieces. He's willing to do all the dirty work. And when he does play, the Raptors are effective. I think Quickly's game improves when Yak's on the floor. I think he kind of puts everyone into place. And I think it's unreasonable to ask a lot out of CMB considering he is a rookie. Now, I love what he's given the Raptors thus far, but Yak is the elephant. The Raptors have Yak on the floor. His value increases. It's not so low where there's word of them having to add draft compensation to his contract just to get off it. It's incredibly bad business, as Fab alluded to start attaching picks to the guys you just signed like last summer. Like, that's just not how it works. So I think the only way to really maintain or increase the value of the players you have right now is to just stay the course. Let's see what they do in the playoffs, but hope and pray that Jakob Poeltl returns. And, backs are finicky, man. Like, we know this, like, we've seen it. He's been in and out of the lineup. If he can come back in and play a consistent stretch of games and maintain his health up into the playoffs, then I think the Raptors are in a pretty decent spot, but you're just not attaching assets to get rid of core pieces, in my opinion.
One thing I know,
like one of the thoughts.
Oh, sorry. I know. I'll be real quick.
Yeah, Hein, sorry about that, man. That's go for it.
Hey, man, we're live. This is the beauty of live. This is new. What is this? We've done 3 of these now. The one thing we talked about it before. Your boy Wes, Yves Missi, he was one of the names. Goga Batadze. There were certain names attached, and then the reporting that came out today was that these teams wanted first-round picks for that. So I don't want to give up a first round pick for that. So I'm happy they paid the minimal price, because I would why are you going to give up a first round pick for someone who's just ultimately just going to be a backup center for you?
Yeah, the point I was going to bring up, Hein, I was just going to say, one of the trades that happened at the finish line, Ivica Zubac, he got paid for pretty good price tag from Indiana. This is a guy who I think almost everybody would universally say is a better center than Jakob Poeltl at this stage. This is a guy who's also 2 years younger than Poeltl. And he's also being paid $20 million per year, whereas Poeltl's average annual value is 28. So that just goes to show you that there's a mispricing of Poeltl's contract right now that is kind of unsalvageable. We know our boy Fab has harped on it all the time, okay? This is one of those L's that you're just going to have to live with it now. There's nothing you can do. And unfortunately, the Raptors, they're going to have to ride it out. Zubac, great example. Look at the value that he drew out there. He's a better center, better cost, and he's a younger player. So that's what you're up against in the marketplace. And unfortunately, just Poeltl's contract is mispriced to his actual value.
Yeah, I think listen, it's not a good contract, but it becomes more palatable if he's healthy and he's playing, which would make a big difference for them right now. So once again, I think you have to hope he can rehab his value, stay on the court. Hopefully the back doesn't act up, and he can carry that into the postseason and play well. And then you can evaluate. And once again, I don't think it's necessarily all a bad thing for the Raptors right now. They have a pretty good record based on their expectations. And, they should be in the postseason, assuming nothing crazy bad happens to them. So
start speaking playing, buddy. Start speaking playing.
No, not yet. We're not. They're not going to the. No, they're not going to the play-in yet.
Get your bets in now on FanDuel. They're going to the play-in, man.
No, man. The Magic are also not really gaining ground on them, and neither are the Heat. So I think they can hold those teams off. But look at everyone else in the East. They all arguably got better. In the meantime, Cleveland got Harden. Make of that what you want, but he's better than Darius Garland today. Maybe not in 2 years from now. Pistons got better. Who else? Who am I thinking of here?
Philly. The Knicks, Alvarado, man.
Yeah, Philly.
Philly on that note, you pointed them out. Heat didn't get better. The Magic didn't get better. And those are the 2 teams that are chasing the Raptors. So, you can look at that as a positive. All the teams ahead of them, they all made moves on the margins that arguably are very savvy moves on their part.
Okay, let's get to Giannis, because that was the other one. And honestly, I feel duped once again. It's because I actually believed it this time. But so Giannis not moved. And I don't know. I know you guys all saw it. Giannis took to Twitter. He posted the I'm not effing leaving from Wolf of Wall Street. And then we got Doc Rivers talking about they're going to cut Shams from the celebrity team. This to me is Dwight Howard 2.0. And Giannis, you got to rip the Band-Aid off, brother, because you can't now, after you post that today, you can't go into the summer and then these reports and whispers start again that you're unhappy. You had your shot. Like, just make up your mind. You can't say you're not effing leaving and then go and ask for a trade again. And I think that's where it's going to end up in the summer.
All this is the Milwaukee Bucks are clinging to relevancy because they know that if Giannis is gone, ain't no one talking about the Bucks going forward. Like, what they should do is trade him, come to a mutual thing. Like, Giannis, I know we talked about this. Giannis is trying to have his cake and eat it too, and it's just not going to happen, man. Like, I don't think you're going to be the bad guy if you actually ask out, just based on the scenario. Like, you gave the Bucks a title. Like, to your point, Hein, like, I'm over it, man. All the memes, all this whole like culture thing, social media. Like, I want the Bucks out of my life until the summer. Just make a move in the summer. Nobody cares. Trade Miles Turner, someone the Raptors should be interested in as well as a stretch five. But like, let's just end this saga. I always thought the Bucks were frauds. I have major regrets for even considering betting them last year in the playoffs. I did, lost money. Boo hoo. I'm done with y'all. Like, Giannis, great player. Modern day Shaq, I think would help any team. But this whole will they, won't they thing, it's just very off-putting. Just end this saga, please. It's over.
Let me jump in real quick before we get to Fab and Wes on this. I don't know if you guys saw the Jake Fisher tweet where he basically said, like, he spoke to an anonymous executive, and it's like Milwaukee was never serious. And I think that's exactly to Hambone's point. Like, they never were serious about trading him, and that's how the rest of the league feels.
I mean, the other thing I was just going to point out is look at some of the draft compensation that some of these big blue chip guys at the deadline got. I mean, if I was Milwaukee, I'd probably stand down too. There's really not much out there. To Jaren Jackson's credit, that was probably the best haul that we've seen out there. But other than that, very underwhelming draft compensation for some of these guys. So I think Milwaukee did the right thing by standing down. I bet you they'll have a better offer in the offseason. If Giannis does sit out the rest of this season, good for them. They get a higher draft pick, and Giannis stays fresh, works kind of gets an extended summer, and then he might even be a better version of himself in October.
It's tough because obviously he's the most legendary player in franchise history. So parting with him isn't easy, but
Kareem, bro.
No, but Giannis has passed him. He's 13 years with the Bucks. I mean, he's done everything with them, so he deserves that title. But the Bucks really should have pivoted off of him in the offseason, and that was their issue. 2 years left on his deal. Instead, they stretched Damian Lillard's contract, so now they've mortgaged like a high percentage of their cap every year just to get rid of him, to bring in Miles Turner. Let's be real. The Bucks rotation is a mess. Their roster is a mess. It doesn't even make sense for him to stay. Like, why would the Bucks even want that? Like, even if he's healthy, you have no shot of going anywhere. So this whole thing just needs to end. I hope it ends in the offseason, because I don't know what Giannis is thinking at the time. It's like he's trying to be this loyal player who doesn't want to leave, but he does want to leave. It's like, make up your mind. We all know you're going to be out the door come summertime, and like, let's just all move on with this, because the Bucks are terrible. And to Hambone's point, they're trying to cling on to any bit of relevancy they can.
All right, let's move on from Giannis then. And do you guys want to talk
Thank you.
Brouwer Harden at all, or do we want to just go to who won the deadline, or who won this last, like, this trade period, not necessarily the deadline?
Whatever you want, man. You start.
All right,
Self alley-oop it.
I think I'll save myself alley-oop, because I know Hambone is just champing at the bit right now to talk about his guy who he wanted in Toronto. So Hambone, you tell me why you think, and I'm just going to guess here, that the Minnesota Timberwolves won the deadline.
The Minnesota Timberwolves, baby. Ayo Dosunmu, a guy who I was preaching for the Raptors to acquire earlier. And listen, man, Minnesota paid a pretty hefty price. Dillingham, Miller, 4 second-round picks. Like, that's a lot for Ayo. So clearly there was value for him. I love what Minnesota's doing, and I just feel like they don't get much credit despite being in the Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row. Now, obviously, they kind of flamed out, especially last year against the Thunder, which is not great. But Ant-Man's on the rise. You saw what he did to Toronto the other night. Jaden McDaniels has made the leap. His efficiency's off the charts. I think he should shoot the ball more. And they're big. And I think and Dante DiVincenzo's banging threes. Shout out to Wes and Fab for nailing the same game parlay on the broadcast the other night. Dante had 5 threes against the Raptors. So what they kind of needed was just another guard that they can rely on. I think Mike Conley's time kind of passed. And who knows? Mike Conley might decide to sign on back with Minnesota since he's got traded multiple times. I just like what they've kind of done around the edges. The fact that they were in on Giannis tells me that they're serious. And I think we should start taking them seriously as well. Like, you look at their rotation, you can go 6, 7, 8 deep. Jalen Clark, Shannon, they're all good players. And you have Ant-Man. As long as Ant-Man's there, the alpha dog, they're moving the ball around. They take a lot of threes. Minnesota, I know Fab flagged this early. I don't know if he did it on the pod or off the pod, but Minnesota to finish as a 2 seed, 3 seed. Like, if you look at the Western Conference right now, it is bundled. Like, the Wolves are 5th, and they are 1 game back of the Nuggets, who are 3rd. It's wide open. I could see San Antonio slipping a little bit too. So yeah, Minnesota. And I think this question is very open-ended, which is why it's a good one. It's just that you can literally pick any team you want. It's just a matter of which player did you happen to like that switched sides. But Minnesota Timberwolves, baby. Oh.
So you could, correction, you could pick any team other than the Raptors when saying who won the deadline. So Fab, who won the deadline for you?
I don't think anybody clearly won the deadline. You know what? Anyone who didn't trade for Ja Morant won the deadline for me. Sorry, Ja. Listen, I think it's kind of sad to see how bad his value has gotten across the league when other teams are asking for firsts just to take on his contract. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you do with him at this point. Does he stay in that rebuild with the Grizz? I guess he doesn't have a choice. I think he's going to have to just kind of play his way out of it, right?
So I honestly, from what Windy was saying yesterday on Get Up and this morning on Get Up, it seemed like the jaw value was so low, like even lower than Trae Young. And it made no sense for them to move him. And you got to just assume, get him out in the summer. But if that just shows, like, that's crazy to me that it dropped so much that they're clearly trying to just like start over fully. But how low is that value that you probably couldn't even gotten any good first for him?
Yeah, it's rock bottom, but you see why he's declining as a scorer. His shooting has fell off. He can't really stay on the court. Who knows about the off court stuff? It seems like he's put that behind him. But I will say the Grizzlies, they got a haul for Jaren Jackson Jr. So between him and Bane, what is that? 7 first-round picks. It's not great because a few years ago we were talking about the Grizzlies as a team who could win the West, and they had one playoff win to their credit. So kind of a failed gambit for the Grizzlies. They kind of blamed Dylan Brooks on the way out. He was probably the culture. He was the culture setter for them. But they have pivoted. They've extracted max value from 2 of their stars. So they are pretty good at drafting as well. So I think they did pretty well to get what they got for Triple J.
Honestly, credit to them for having the self-awareness to rip the Band-Aid off like that. But Wes, what about you? Who won the deadline?
I cannot believe I'm going to say this team name.
Don't do it.
I actually think the Washington Wizards made the savviest move out of all the moves. So watch this. Okay. What do they have? They had expiring CJ. They had expiring Chris Middleton. What went out the other way in this trade that was like so jarring that, Washington paid such a big price? Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Branham, Bagley, like none of these guys matter on their team. And then the draft picks, OKC's this upcoming draft, which is 30th, and then a top 20 protected Warriors 2030 pick. Like my point I'm trying to say is they gave nothing. They gave nothing away. All of that value pretty much is out the door if they didn't do something with it. They got a guy who they get to take a quick shot with AD. If it ends up being nothing, so be it. That's the end of his career, then that's fine. Like he goes off into the sunset. But to take a swing on a guy like that, it might not even have to be win now, but you have an asset that you can flip for next trade deadline or next offseason, better than everything that they had to offer right now. A very rare buy low from a team that's a bottom feeder team. A very, very strange trade deadline this year.
How dare you say that Marvin Bagley does not matter? Like, come on, man.
Yeah,
We've seen the first, second, and third pick from that draft all now moved within a 1-year span. Like,
Man.
Yo, the best part about that is Marvin Bagley goes back ahead of Luka Doncic to the team that he was looked off for. It's really funny that full circle he gets back there.
Listen, the Wizards, they acquire talent. Say what you want. They're going to have to probably overpay these guys to stay, and I don't know what their team is, but they do have some promising young guys. I like Sara has really blossomed this year in his second year. We'll see with Koulibaly. He's kind of a wait and see, but they have some guys. Keyshawn George, he's playing well. So they become a lot more interesting next year, even if I don't love the Trey AD combo per se. They're better.
So I respect what the Wizards did. Like, I actually do, because they're trying to do this, like, they're trying to do what the Warriors tried, but failed miserably at, is do this little double timeline thing. Because I think Trey Johnson's a very, very, like, surprising rookie, and I think he's pretty good. And then they're gonna have a top 5 pick this year as well. It's just the people that you added, Trey Young, like, my goodness, man, like Anthony Davis. It's just I respect the gambles, I respect the shots. I just don't know if I personally would have taken it with those two guys. And historically, there's been a lot of pressure in Washington to kind of aim for the middle just to make the playoffs. They're like a poor man's Chicago Bulls in that respect, dating back a few years. So it's just the guys they chose to take shots on, but you cannot argue with the value proposition. Like, and I think Wes made a very salient point, is that you can flip AD, you can inflate his value. What if he comes out next year like gangbusters and is just locking stuff down? Wizards are a top 10 defense, all because of him. And then a team comes knocking and says, you know what? We need to make a playoff push. Give us AD. And there's a world where they get more for AD next year than what they paid for him this year.
For sure.
They didn't mortgage
Also-
the future.
but like, also to the point on fit, if you're going to have a guy who's a pylon defensively like Trey Young, don't you want a healthy AD behind him to potentially make up for some of those defensive lapses? Like, I think
Of
fit
course.
wise, this could actually be a pretty good situation. And I think Wes nailed it. You're giving up very little to to gamble on talent. And like, say what you will, where both of these guys are currently in their career, you're buying. It's good asset management. You're buying at the lowest point. It's like jumping on Bitcoin today. You're getting in at a good point, and you got nowhere to go but up.
I'm getting charlatan vibes from Hein. I'm getting charlatan vibes.
You knew I was going to get a Bitcoin reference in.
Also, very, very Silicon Valley. You fit
Yeah,
in.
hey, I'm in the Bay. I'm in the Bay right now. It makes sense.
Sorry,
Back, man.
I just wanted to before I give you my winner.
I just wanted to touch on the what did we think of the Harden trade with the Clippers?
Can I get my winner first? Come on, man.
Oh, sorry, is that you? Is that what you're talking about? Is it James Harden who
No,
ending
winner
up
is
in
not.
Cleveland?
Hey, if you want to talk regular season success, I got Cavs and wins pool, so I was ecstatic about that trade.
Okay, fair enough.
But my winner is the Indiana Pacers. They are showing right now the blueprint to how to sort of. They had basically they're taking a gap year right now. They're handling this Halliburton injury year perfectly. Now you add Zubats to that starting 5, and the protection on that pick. LA is only getting that pick if it's 5 through 9. So you're essentially adding a great defensive center. You have an awesome starting 5 right now. Mathurin, I like Mathurin as a player a lot. I think it's good for the Clippers too, but he was inconsistent with those injuries. You have other pieces where he doesn't necessarily, you're not losing much because you have depth like on the wing there. And now you're bringing in Zubats and you're getting that pick, and then you bring Halliburton into there next year. The Pacers, to me, are probably the favorites to win the Eastern Conference next year if everything fits properly.
For once, I completely agree.
Well, so to Fab's point about the Cavaliers, if we want to bring it back to the Raptors, like, we're talking about windows, right? This was the year that we like kind of looked and like, oh man, there's a little bit of an opening here in the East. I feel like that window is closing firmly shut. Indiana next year, I agree with Hein. Like, I think Indy's poised, with Halliburton back. Jason Tatum looks like he's coming back for Boston this year. Like, it's just the window is slowly closing. So I think that's why there's a lot of like dissatisfaction from potentially Raptors fans, why they didn't go for it, make a big splash this year. Like, Cleveland they attached a pick to Darius Garland to lose in a game 7 in the playoffs. Think about, because you acquire James Harden, who does not perform well in game sevens. Like, so it's just, but they saw an opening and they're like, we need to keep Donovan Mitchell happy. And we know this guy can take some of the ball handling pressure off them. It's just funny to see how I think teams recognize that the East is for the taking. And, flipping it back to, again, from a Toronto perspective, it's nice to kind of see what you got and let these guys sink or swim in the playoffs. But any chance of contention, I think, just gets a little trickier, not just this year, but a couple years down the road. And we even mentioned the Pistons. Like, they added shooting, which is literally their most important need with Kevin Huerter. And Detroit's running away with the East as we speak. Very, very good test for the Raptors next week on TSN, February 11th.
So here's my question, and I know he probably wouldn't have wanted to go there, but why wasn't Cleveland trying to be in on Giannis? Because if you're Cleveland, why aren't you trying to package Jared Allen and Garland and picks? And like, Giannis is the dude who would, that's this type of desperate move I think Cleveland need to make, because as you said, the window is closing.
So you cannot. So Cleveland's operating as in a second apron.
Oh,
team.
second apron
They could
team?
not
Okay.
aggregate salaries. Yeah, so they would have needed to move to get under the apron. And I think Milwaukee would want Evan Mobley, and I personally wouldn't make that move. But to your point, like, I agree. I think Cleveland, because they're so cap heavy right now, they probably should have gone for it other ways. And I think they signaled that with the Harden move.
I think it's written in the stars that LeBron's going to Cleveland next year, right?
Oh yeah.
Right? Like, can we pencil it? Like, that's, he wants that Hollywood ending, right? Even though he would be leaving LA, which is ironic. But
Yeah. I don't care either. I like the Giannis story. I'm over that too. Just retire. No one cares.
but yeah, Hambone, to your point, the East, it's going to be a lot tougher next year. That's a guarantee, because Boston is good without Tatum. So he comes back. Indy, to your point, Hein, already a borderline championship level team.
Mhm.
That was a game 7 away from potentially winning the championship. Halliburton's back. You have a center in Zubats who's awesome. Very good contract. If they get a high lotto pick to go with all these other guys, that's a formidable team in Indiana.
Well, I don't even think it's an if. I think the probability of them, like, if you finish with the worst record, the lowest pick you can get is 5, right? So
Yeah.
realistically, like, I don't know, man. It seems like the protections on that pick, I think, are in their favor, and I think they are going to get a top 5 pick in what everybody's calling is a loaded top of that draft.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
One other thing I wanted to point out. Also, Charlotte Hornets been in a great team the last month. They get Kobe White. That's just another guy who can do stuff for them. They're also knocking on the door, man. Like, Con Knippel's kind of changed that whole team around, and things are really fitting there. Hambone's boy Diabate.
Oh yeah.
They're looking really good. So yeah, things are tightening up.
Fab, I think that's
Oh man, if the Raps have to play the Hornets in a play-in game, oh my God, please. Don't get those demons away, man. They are like, I do not want to see those guys again, man. Those games have all been crazy this year.
So,
absolutely crazy.
I think you said they've been a good team. I think statistically they had the best net rating in January since like the 2017 Warriors or something like that.
I'm sorry, Buzz City. I undersold you. You've been the best team in the league for the past
NBA
month.
history.
Okay,
NBA history.
Man, they deserve a good team over there, man. It's been a struggle for them.
Do we want to touch on the Bulls at all? Like, I saw someone on Twitter, I forget who it was. I'd love to give credit, but maybe they're, instead of having a big, they're just going to have 2 of their guards go on each other's shoulders with a big trench coat, and then that's what they'll do. But what the hell are the Bulls doing? Almost swore there. Almost had to pay the bounty. Yeah. That was close.
The Raps better beat them tonight. The Raps better beat them tonight. Like, man, if you can't take care of the Bulls B team, then you got some problems.
But what the hell are they thinking? I don't understand this.
What have they been?
What
have they been thinking for 10 years, 15 years? I don't know what they're thinking. Like, they're the definition of the treadmill team, man. It's all they do is just run on the treadmill. Reinsdorf seems like he's really cheap. I don't know. They don't seem like they ever want to really be a great team. It just seems like they want to kind of be in the middle and generate like a minimal amount of interest. I don't know, man. I don't know what they want.
All right. Anything else?
No comment on the Bulls. Zero comment on the Bulls. Raptors better win that game tonight. And I mean, I look forward to it. I'm happy that the dust has settled here from the deadline. Raptors have not been playing super well as of late. They got 30 games left in the season. And teams are going to put up their best fight. They are still not performing very well against the top teams in the league. I think they're 1-12 against the top, like the best teams in the league right now, which is not a great number.
OKC's their only win, right?
That's the only win. Yeah, against like the
And
top
what a
4
win.
side. So
And what a win it was.
Yeah.
what a win it was.
All right.
Felt like an eternity
All right.
ago.
On that note, that's it for us. We will be back next week. I think I'm gonna go take a Waymo, fellas. I don't know if these robot cars here, it is wild. I highly recommend you get in a robot car. The wheels turning and stuff without you, it's
Enjoy,
nothing. No
man.
Waymo comments. Yeah, Waymo gang.
Go,
No, all right.
Go Patriots.
Oh, come on.
Enjoy,
No.
enjoy, buddy.
I'm kidding. I don't
We got
I don't
the
care.
FanDuel set right behind you guys. So there we go. All right, that's it for us on Basketball Island. Don't forget, catch us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you next week.